Excuse me.
Excuse me. Tell everyone you've ever met right now, 'cause the bitch is back. Yes, the bitch is back.
Let your Buffy and Angel comfort content begin now. Welcome to The Bitch is Back with Charisma Carpenter, a first watch podcast powered by Patreon. The Bitch is Back is a first watch podcast of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and its spinoff, Angel. You might be wondering, why do this now? Well, despite having starred in 147 episodes across both shows, I've never actually watched them until now. You asked, and I delivered. So every podcast episode, you can expect an introduction of the episode, which gives basic information about the writer, the director, and the release date. Then I will give a summary recap of this week's televised episode, told in my particular brand of sass. Here, I will be highlighting themes, relevant dialogue, and discuss standout performances as they occur to me. Since this is a first watch reflection and not an academic analysis, it's important to keep in mind that the podcast is meant to be fun and sassy and lighthearted, but also it's an exploration of sorts through my lens, rooted in my personal experiences, impressions, feelings, and memories from nearly a decade of collaboration over both shows. Then we will transition into a segment I call Staked and Slayed, where I give a short episode wrap-up. Last but not least, I'll give thanks to everyone involved, and then that's when you tell everyone you've ever met about my new podcast, because people, the bitch is back. Season 1, Episode 10, Nightmares, written by David Greenwalt, directed by Bruce Seth Green. He directed a few. Originally released on May 12th, 1997. This week on the Hellmouth, according to the bitch. This week's episode, Nightmares, has everyone's worst fears come to life. We learn that Buffy is afraid of not being prepared for a test, that her parents' divorce is actually her fault, which, well, it's not like she wasn't a total menace to society in LA, but I digress. But her uber scary fear of being buried alive gave me the Wiggins. So, Buffy's nightmare reminded me of this super scary movie I saw with Bill Pullman. It was a long time ago. It was called The Serpent and the Rainbow. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of this film, but there's this white powder. If blown in your face, you become paralyzed while also being totally conscious. Hear me out. Imagine going into surgery. I don't know, maybe you need a ponytail lift or an upper bleph or some liposuction. It doesn't matter. But pretend they give you a drug that's supposed to knock you out and prevent you from moving around while under the knife. Except you're totally awake. You feel everything, but you can't tell anybody. You can't open your eyes. You can't speak. Nothing. Well, that's what Buffy's fear is of. How terrifying. Anyway, back to the nightmares of the Scoobies and Giles. Xander's terrified of being naked in front of his classmates, who isn't, and a knife-wielding clown. Well, hold on. Would I be afraid? Yeah, I would be afraid of that too. Willow's fear of being forced to sing Poochie's Madam Butterfly on stage and being unable to sing terrorizes her. The underlying fear indicates an insecurity of not being able to express herself and appearing foolish to an audience. You think? When is she going to come right out with it and just tell Xander how she feels about him? Meanwhile, Giles' worst nightmare is a fear of failing in his duty as a watcher, which manifests as him losing his ability to read, navigating library stacks, and Buffy's death. As for Cordelia, frizzy hair, unfortunate clothing, and forced chess club chums. Seems pretty light fare in the terror department, but for her, I guess that is like being buried alive too. The nightmare that started it all, though, was that of an unconscious boy named Billy, who was beaten into a coma by the Ugly Man, a.k.a. his Kitty League coach. The sad part is, this wasn't a nightmare in his dreams. It was his reality. My question is, where are Billy's parents? I can't think of anything scarier for a little kid to be feeling helpless and powerless against an abusive, authoritative figure. Well, I am so glad Xander and Giles together, along with Buffy, turned this predatory coach in, and finally, Billy was free from the ugly man with a club. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this favorite section called the Bitch of the Year Hot Takes. Okay? At 1 minute, 31 seconds, Buffy is inside the lair with the master. Buffy is terrified, and he takes his big old hand, well-groomed manicure, around her neck. This is the first time I've ever seen, no, this is the second time we've seen her in the master's lair, but you can tell that something's off. And I'm intrigued. I'm immediately intrigued. Opening of the show, intrigued. At 2 minutes, 18 seconds, Buffy's room, Joyce wakes her from a bad dream and mentions her dad. My first instinct was, what? We are going to meet Buffy's dad? Who did they cast for Buffy's dad? I didn't remember. Buffy seems thrilled at the prospect of seeing her dad. And Joyce says, you're on for this weekend. And that just kind of one of the things that come up for me right now that I'm just improvising with is so many families have divorced parents. And I know my son, from the age of 4 was going from one house to the next, and you're at this house this weekend and that house on the next weekend. And I just think it's like interesting because the vibe is that she doesn't really see her dad that much. And we're on what episode is this? 10? And this is like the first kind of mention that she's going to see her dad. So she's kind of excited. And it makes me have empathy for homes that are separated this way. My own included, but it was the right thing for my family, but not great for my kid, obviously. At 2 minutes, 59 seconds, we're in the school hallway, and it's Buffy and Willow. Buffy and Willow discuss Buffy's parents' divorce. Willow says that her parents never even bicker. They just glare, she says. Okay, I also don't trust that. There is just no such thing as a family that doesn't bicker or parents that don't bicker. And if they don't bicker, it's because they're indifferent of one another. And that's also a red flag. And that is also a poor thing to mentor to your children. Because if you don't have conflict and you're not able to then conflict resolve to role model that to your children, you are also setting your kids up for failure in terms of interpersonal relationships with their future partners. I'm just saying. These are my hot takes, and I'm going to give them to you. I'm not holding back. So anyway, she says that they just glare, whatever. Willow asks Buffy, maybe that's why Willow doesn't tell anybody about how she feels about, Xander. She won't say the thing because her parents don't say the thing. They just live in this weird tension of glaring and not really saying what they really think or feel. That makes sense. Willow asks Buffy why she thinks her mom got divorced, and she said she doesn't really know. They just stopped getting along, she said, but says that she probably didn't help much and starts to blame herself for her parents' divorce, which is very common for kids to do. As children, as we get older, we start developing our frontal cortex, and our reasoning and our logic starts to shift away from self-centered ideas or ideology, which is like everything that happens revolves around you and is about you. And if it's good, it happened. You had a part in it. And if it was bad, it's all your fault. And that's like kind of common for teenagers to think. And it's really important to invite conversations with your teenagers so that they have an opportunity to share that with you as a parent if you have a divorced family. Moving on, 3 minutes, 13 seconds, we're inside the classroom. Cordelia and the classmates. I think this is actually in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer opening credits where she's primping in her hand mirror and she's looking into the hand mirror of her face and then she's like touching her eyelashes, which cracks me up because there are no eyelashes. And thank goodness to Lash Loft and Flatiron because they give me great lashes, although I need to go tomorrow. so don't look at them right this second. But usually I have nice, well-groomed lashes. Thank you, Lash Off. And they did not pay me to say this. I'm just spoofing. But anyway, I think it's kind of funny that she's, Cordelia's like primping her lashes, which are not there. And then she can't see her lashes because they're microscopic. So she needs all the light she can bear or have. And obviously somebody is standing in her light. So she says, hello, doofus, you're in my light. I mean, I could never talk to somebody like that. Never. I mean, it makes me cringe, just like being that mean to people. It's just, I don't know why she's like this. I mean, I do know why, but like, it's hard to watch. At 4 minutes, 10 seconds, classroom, Xander doesn't know what the homework was, which was, quote, active listening. He doesn't remember being used as an example with the teacher from the day before. Buffy reminds him that the teacher was wearing a tight sweater, and suddenly the light bulb goes off, and it all comes back to Xander. He says, oh, the midnight blue Angora. See, I was listening, with a big devious smile. Buffy and all the girls find this very amusing, like, oh, Xander. 4 minutes, 33 seconds, health class, Buffy, Willow, Xander, Cordelia, Wendell, and Creepy Boy. Buffy drops her pencil and sees this young boy at the classroom door standing there. She's trying to make sense of it. Like, first of all, why is this child in her high school? But she tries to make sense of it when Wendell breaks out in a case of trail of tarantula spiders. Okay. First of all, I remember being on set that day, and it was cuckoo bananas, frightening and scary. Like, one of the things I disliked so much about our show was snakes and tarantulas and, critters in general. There is no way on God's green earth that I would ever in 1 million years or for $1 million allow spiders to crawl all over me. It gives me just the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it. And I wonder if he got extra pay, just a little sidebar. Sometimes on the show, if there is like a risky thing or if there's some kind of fog in the air or whatever, there's a thing called hazard pay. And I think it's like $15. I mean, I think you get like $15 hazard pay. I wonder if he got $15 extra to allow tarantulas to go all over his body. I don't even know, but I'm legitimately screaming in that scene. Like when she screams, Cordelia screams. I'm really terrified. I like could not believe it, and I was thinking to myself as I was watching this, I wonder, can spiders hear? Does anybody know? Can spiders hear? Like, do they get scared when they see people scared? Like, I think they just know vibrations, right? Huh?
Amazing question. I have no idea.
You think that's an amazing question? I think everybody else that's probably watching this, their eyes are rolling in the back of their head going, oh my God, you are so dumb.
They hear through specialized hairs on their legs that detect air, change in air vibration.
So they pick up on air vibrations.
They do not have ears or eardrums.
Ears or eardrums they don't have. Well, I'm glad because all of their eardrums would have been bursted by the time I was done screaming. So I'm actually wondering if we scared the spiders for this stunt, if you will. And every time they did a close-up of Wendell's mouth, like he was screaming, I kept worrying that a spider was going to either go in his mouth or come crawling out of it. And then we cut to the kid in the doorway going, oh, sorry about that. Okay, what is this? Why does he say that? Is this his fault? Did he do this? Did he make this happen? Anyway, the whole spider thing, no thank you. I was not happy about it. So I am, what is that called when you're afraid of a thing, but so you confront it anyway? I think it's like something adverse or whatever. Like, I feel like I'm proud of myself for being on the set while there were all these spiders. And I know that tarantulas are not poisonous. They don't typically bite. They just are creepy. And just the idea of them crawling with their little legs, it just gives me the Wiggins in Buffy speak. So at 6 minutes, we're in the Master's lair, the Master and the Anointed One. Welcome back. Welcome back to the show. It's been a minute. We haven't seen you in a while. It's been a couple of episodes since we've seen these two. And the Master, this is important. He says this, and I really want to break this down with y'all. And I know I'm probably going to get some feedback on this. But anyway, the Master, it's the most powerful force in the human world, he says. Not love, not hate, fear. We are defined by the things we fear. But fear is in the mind, like pain. It can be controlled. If I can face my fear, it cannot master me. So that's his line. And that gave me pause because I feel like in our country right now, there's a lot of fear mongering. There's also like interpersonal relationships where there's a fear of being rejected or a fear of saying the thing or a fear of, being your authentic self and saying and feeling what you really want, right? Like going for what you want even, right? You're afraid to fail. There's all this stuff to be afraid of in today's society. More than ever, I feel like the iPhones really amplify this. And, with the FOMO and fear of missing out, right? So when I hear quotes like this, I feel like it's such a seductive thing to tell human beings. Just master your emotions. Come on. Just master your emotions. All your problems will be solved. Also, why is this the goal? To master our emotions. Maybe, at least when I hear master your emotions, I think repress your emotions, which to me feels antithetical to being a human being. To suppress or repress or push down, it all seems or sounds like an attempt to self-abandon or muzzle yourself. To me, it just sounds artificial and made up, like some wellness guru created a curriculum to teach you, to monetize, teaching you how to master your emotions so you can arrive at a particular result, something that you wanted to get. It sounds, frankly, manipulative, AKA don't feel. And I think that's what's wrong with this society right now. Everybody's telling you not to feel or how to feel about, what about your feelings? How are we supposed to have compassion and empathy for others? Which makes me think of current events recently, because the person that was recently in the news didn't believe in empathy. He thought it was like woke propaganda. To be in your feelings was nonsense. It's interesting to think about. And, is this a matter of mastering our emotions? I say no. I say feel those emotions. That's how you get through it. There's a beginning, middle, and end to emotions. Have that process so it doesn't own you, so you don't become rageful, right? I don't know. I was always taught that you have a beginning, middle, and end to your feelings. And I was told by a mentor that feelings also are not facts. Just because it's how you feel doesn't mean that's really what is. It doesn't mean like you had this encounter with somebody, right? And you walked away feeling badly about yourself. You're holding on to it. Stay with me. You're holding on to this, feeling like, oh, I said the wrong thing, or maybe I was too much, or I offended them. And then you get a text from them saying, hey, it was really great catching up with you today. And you're like, wow, I had that all wrong, right? So feelings aren't necessarily always facts. And it's best to observe our emotions as they occur. And, though, to experience them by feeling them. Confront your emotions by writing about them, processing them through talking with a therapist or a friend. I mean, I talk to my girlfriends all the time, and I have a weekly standing therapy session. But express them. This is this whole notion of mastering feelings. It just feels disingenuous in some seductive way to sound like there's an alternate solution to get what you want. Isn't the goal to be understood, heard, believed, valued, seen? Aren't our emotions what make us human? And I understand context is everything, like not letting your anger get the best of you, but I don't understand the mastery of emotions. I know you guys are going to give it to me in the comments for sure, but this is just what I'm feeling in this context. As if feeling less, right? Like just don't feel as much, be less, is something we should aim for. To express less. I would argue to encourage that the encouragement of mastering or suppressing your emotions has led to more suffering for people in their interpersonal relationships, at work, and in life in general. Why practice desensitizing? Why is that the goal? Why is that the point? I have a bit of a story time in this realm, and I know I'm going way off on a tangent, but this is really important to me, and these are my hot takes. The story time is, I had a girlfriend tell me once that she's never cried. Not once. She's never cried. Because she felt that if she started to cry, that she would never stop. I have never stopped thinking about her. Never stopped thinking about that reality for her. And I can't imagine all the tension that she's holding in her body and how that might manifest. Where does that energy go? Where does that psychic energy go? Where did she learn this idea or narrative that she would never be able to stop crying when she started? I mean, we know that isn't a logical reduction. Like, of course she'll stop crying eventually, right? I don't know. It was the certainty that she would eventually, the uncertainty that she would eventually stop crying. But it's almost as if she's afraid of it, and it hurts my heart to think about it. We can't be afraid of our emotions. We can't be afraid of letting people down. We've got to be comfortable with being ourselves and to say what we think and to be our authentic selves. Again, mastering or suppressing may mean two different things, but I don't think so. Call it like you see it. That is my take. It didn't used to be, but I certainly wasn't any happier stuffing my emotions or choking down my words. And I would even argue it causes inflammation and disease to those who attempt to master their emotions. And rant. Moving on to 12 minutes, 44 seconds, history class, Cordelia and Buffy. Cordelia looks so studious because she has layers, we learn, because she did well on the SATs. But I feel like she kind of holds it over Buffy's head because she didn't know there was a test. She's running late. And I feel like Cordelia is like using that as a moment to be superior. And I don't like that. That is a big difference between me and Cordelia, right? Like, that's just an example of what's the difference between me and my character. Like, if I found that even if like I didn't particularly like a person, if I saw that they were in distress and I would probably help them. But they better remember that I helped them. That's not true. It's not tit for tat, but I'm just saying. At minute 14, 7 seconds through 15 minutes, 6 seconds, we're in the school hallway. A girl says, "I'm going to take a smoke break." I didn't recall this, and I don't think the show has ever really tackled smoking on the show. I think this is the first time I've ever seen a high schooler doing a high schooler thing. It's very teen behavior. I know because I had one. And I'm still trying to get him to quit smoking. But I was never a smoker. I never did. I don't remember this monster. Moving on to this part, I don't remember this monster. So the girl, see, these are the downfalls. You try to sneak and hide a smoke, and then you get confronted by a monster. It's not her fault. It's not her fault. I'm just saying. But it's really good special effects, this monster. But I got to tell you, this monster was so violent and savage with this young girl. It was really hard for me to watch. I hated that she's a victim to this. And the monster looks like he's at least 9 feet tall. And it just had an extra brutal, it just felt more savage to me, this particular monster in this episode. And I don't know why that is, but I felt really jarred by that. At 17 minutes, 4 seconds, we're in the hospital. So Laura, who went to go have the smoke in the basement of the school that got attacked, her name is Laura. So we're in the hospital, Laura, Giles, and Buffy. And Laura just got beat up by this 9-foot man demon. But I got to be honest, she barely had any lacerations. I know she had some bruising, but I just really felt like they held back. Like, she should have had cuts and black eyes and swollen eye. And like, I feel like they really went light on that. And I don't know if that was a network thing or network notes. I don't know. but they kept it a little extra light. It was definitely light. And I wonder why. At 18 minutes through 19 minutes and 59 seconds, we're in the school hallway. We got Willow and Xander and the wannabe T-Birds from Greece. This guy had a Danny Zuko vibe about him. And his worst nightmare, apparently, is his, Italian mom showing up in the hallway, smushing his face in this overbearing kind of way, like, kiss me, Like, I would tease Donovan that I would do that to him sometimes. And that I would go back to school with him into college. Like, we would go to college together. He did not like that at all. Xander, his fear and his nightmare, because we're going through what some of the nightmares are, right? Like, we're starting to see these nightmares become, what is it called when something goes to stomach? Yeah, we start to see it throughout the school, right? So it's like becoming like a couple of people's nightmares are happening to like now more people. So we got the Danny Zuko's smothering mother. Now we got Xander who's naked in front of his class, nightmare. Then we are in the library and Giles can't remember how to read. He gets lost and disorientated in the library stacks, nightmare. But Buffy wasn't ready for a test. That's her nightmare. Cut to at 20 minutes, we're in the library. In walks, everybody's nightmares are being discussed in the library, and in walks her dad. I don't mean this to sound mean, but I was actually kind of expecting like a big stunt cast here. Because I remember when I was on Malibu Shores, when they brought in our parents, like Carrie Russell's mom, I can't remember the name of her character. We had the lady, Michelle Phillips, from the Mamas and the Papas. Like gorgeous woman, by the way. I was kind of expecting somebody like that, but apparently, I don't know. I was thinking like James Brolin or something. But this guy, his name is Dean Butler. He played Hank Summers for 5 episodes, and he was famous for Little House on the Prairie and did 44 episodes of The New Gidget in 1986. So that's a little bit about him. And next up, I'm going to watch something with you. I wanted to watch this scene with you guys and kind of stop and give my hot takes live because this scene, first of all, this is the first time we're meeting Buffy's dad. And I think that father-daughter relationship is very touching and very important. And this scene actually resonated with me. And I wanted to share it with you. So we're outside on the school grounds. It's Buffy and Hank Summers. And we're learning here what Buffy's ultimate nightmare is. But we don't know this is her nightmare. We don't know that we're in her nightmare. So they're walking along. Buffy's dad's telling her, there's something I've been needing to tell you. About your mom and me. Why we split up. Okay, first of all, when my son was growing up, when I was going through my divorce, even for years afterward, my son constantly was asking, why? Why did you and daddy get it? Like to him, he didn't get it. And then we would do things together and we weren't bickering and arguing or fighting. We were like coming together as parents to kind of co-parent. So I think that even like made him even more confused. Like why? He was 4. Let me qualify it by saying he was 4. But I think all children wonder why. They want the truth. Kids want to know why, maybe to know that it wasn't their fault. I think that's like the most important thing. But I also feel like it's not appropriate to hash this stuff out with your kids. And I think what Hank Summers does here is a nightmare. So he admits to Buffy that, I know we've always told you that we just stopped getting along, but here's why we really broke up. We grew apart. And she says, well, is that true? Come on, honey, take a seat. How many people have been in a relationship with somebody and they're like, we need to talk? And it's bad. It's bad. So she's saying, well, isn't that true? That you guys just grew apart or whatever? And he's like, take a seat, which is Let's talk. You're old enough now to know the truth. Okay, already I'm looking at Buffy's face, and she's very worried. I can see the concern in her eyes. She's just like bracing herself, I guess, for some scary, unknown thing. And also to learn that you've been lied to all this time. Like, it used to be, I told you this before, that's a lie. Like, first of all, that's very jarring for a child to hear their parents say. Like, I know I told you this, but that isn't true. Like, can we just calibrate here for a second? Like, she's panicking. It's all in the eyes. She asks, was there someone else? No, it was nothing like that. It would be better if it was. Well, then what was it? He says so casually, as Taylor Swift would say, casually cruel. Well, honey, it was you. What? What? I mean, honestly, this is abuse. Me? Having you, raising you, seeing you every day. Do you have any idea what that's like? You know what's sad is there probably are people that are out there that do this. What? Or like say, I didn't want you. That's basically what he's saying. I never wanted you. She's like, what? And then he mocks her and says, you don't even see what's right in front of you. Big surprise there. All you ever think about is yourself. You get in trouble. You embarrass us. Do I have to go on? And Buffy's like, shell-shocked. Shell-shocked. No, please do not go on. You're solemn and rude. He's so casual about this. You're not nearly as bright as I'd hoped you'd be. I mean, Buffy, let's be honest. Could you stand living with somebody like that? She has these giant tears welling in her eyes, and one just dropped down her cheek. And she's like, why are you saying all this to me? Because they're true. Well, you know what? He feels that that's at the least we owe each other. I guess because she's like 16 now. She cries. And then he attacks her for getting blubbery or being emotional. After just literally gutting her, verbally pummeling her with horrible, horrible words from your father. Like, this is just brutal. Don't be upset. I'm just trying to be honest. Like, he just ripped out from under her everything she thought she knew about her relationship with him, everything she thought she knew about her parents, the closest people to her, about their relationship. She just found out that they'd been lying to her. And he just told her, you're the problem, right, Chrissy Poo? It is something to cry about. Also, by the way, I'm not really getting anything out of these weekends. Come on. So, what do you say we just don't have these weekends anymore? And Buffy's face is just, she's shattered. Her dad sucks. 2 pats on her leg. Good talk. Like a frickin' coach. Get out there, go win the game. Good luck in life. I sure wish you had turned out differently. Who says this? So I know this is like really on the nose, and it's obviously her nightmare, her worst nightmare, because it was set up at the beginning of the episode, right? With Willow when they were talking in the hallway. But you know, there are parents out there in the world that do variations on this. If they did, I'm sorry. Now we know it's a nightmare because the kid shows up and she spots him. End scene. I'm debating whether or not I want to go there. I'm not ready, but I do want to say it's really painful. It's really painful to be violated by or feel violated, or feel like you have imperial knowledge and evidence of something or a relationship or a dynamic, and you learn otherwise. It's devastating. And she's 16. She's 16. And also, like, master your emotions is one more time, like, he's ridiculing her for being emotional or crying. And I think boys get that a lot. Girls get that a lot. They're overly emotional. They always cry. They're always weepy. And then boys are like cowards or, not good for crying or, less manly or whatever. And it's bad to have empathy and compassion for others or to feel your emotions. And the more people say that, especially now in this society, the more I want to buck up against that. It does not make the world a better place if you stuff or don't feel or don't process or don't experience your emotions. So moving on to 24 minutes. We're in the library. I'm being hung by my headphones. Okay. I think it's time to cut my hair. Okay, so at 24 minutes, we're in the library. It's Giles, Willow, and Xander. Willow and Xander. Gregory, will you do a hair look? Am I okay? Do I have flyaways and all that? On this side? I mean, you guys don't care, do you? Whatever. I don't want to look ridiculous, but anyway. Library, Giles, Willow, Xander. Willow and Xander come looking for Buffy in the library to find Giles. They begin explaining to Giles that Xander found himself in his underwear in front of this entire class, and it was a complete nightmare. That's when Willow put it together. That's right. It was your nightmare. Just like Wendell's was the spiders. Willow begins piecing together this week's horror mystery. Then Giles realizes that he has succumbed to this mystery too by admitting what he dreamt. He got lost in the stacks and couldn't read. Giles pieces it together that somehow Billy, the boy in the local hospital who's been lurking around the school, was beaten, but somehow he thinks he's crossed over from the nightmare world and he's trapped. Xander guesses that Billy has brought the nightmare world with him into this reality. They all decide they have to stop it, and soon. All of Sunnydale will be experiencing their worst nightmares. It's a zombie apocalypse! At 25 minutes, 4 seconds, enter Cordelia. School hallway, locker. We see Cordy's reflection, to which she panics. Suddenly her hair is super frizzy and she's unable to get a comb through it. I gotta be honest, this felt a little unsettling. With Cordelia having super, super frizzy hair, this just feels like a little bit uncomfortable to look back on. Like, there are worse things that could happen. Like, why didn't they, she opens her mouth and she has no teeth. Like, why did we go to her hair? I don't know. But anyway, at 26 minutes, 53 seconds, the school gym, Billy and Buffy. Buffy approaches Billy and asks him if something bad happened to him after his game. Billy talks about the ugly man. The ugly man, and that he used to call him Lucky 19. Just then, the ugly man slams Buffy in the head with a giant club. It seemed incredibly savage to me, this whole monster of the week. And we go to black. This ugly man is really violent, I write. He seems especially dangerous and full of rage, and actually scares me a little bit. Buffy is back on her feet, though, and they begin to fight with Billy looking on. There is none of the gym. Buffy locks the ugly man. Okay, I don't know what I wrote there. They make it out of the gym, and then Buffy uses one of the gym, hockey sticks to lock the ugly man inside. Billy and Buffy make a plan to hide. At 28 minutes, 20 seconds, we're in the school hallway. And it's Cordelia and her classmates. While Willow looks on, Cordelia is in a goofy outfit with frizzy hair and is being pulled through the school hallway by the chess club. They're dragging her to the club room, which is apparently her worst nightmare. I was just going to say, I honestly feel like this is a little light on terror for Cordelia. Like, it's not as deep or intense, and I feel like this is kind of a character miss. Like, we could have really learned a lot about Cordelia, and she could have been portrayed maybe a little bit more sooner. She could have been portrayed a little bit more sensitively, or we could have like seen some more layers of Cordelia early on. I feel like this is a missed opportunity. We went to the superficial, but I mean, at the time, this was absolutely true, and it makes for a light part of the episode, so it makes sense story-wise. But to be defensive of my character, I wish we gave Cordelia more. But anyway, I personally would have loved to have learned to play chess. I have a chessboard at home. In fact, H&M for the summer sent me a home kit, like a really cool travel chess kit, which is kind of fun. I need to learn how to play chess. But this is an example of Cordelia's worst nightmare being a dream for me. Take me to the club. Take me to the chess club. I want to go. You know, that's another difference between me and Cordy. So at 29 minutes, school basement, Willow's alone in the dark, just as a hand reaches out from behind, Willow screams. I don't know what the time frame is on this. We're in the hall. It's Xander. He's alone. He walks through the school hallway, like the swinging doors, and to the left is like a swastika, which is very relevant right now in society. This is chilling. The section of the school, it's weird. It's like in his dream, it's in complete disrepair. And he's looking for Buffy. And then he finds like these candy bars and he keeps eating these. This cannot be the last one. He's eating all these candy bars and he's going from one to the next to the next. And I'm like, what is going on with Xander? Why is he all into candy bars? Like, does he not have, is this it?
No. There's many more.
Yeah.
It's just the end of the section, but the next is a video to watch.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. So I'm like, what is going on with Xander? Does he have a junk food addiction? I didn't get what was going on, that this was like a throwback to his 6-year-old birthday party that Willow was at. But now we're going to watch another scene together, which is at 30 minutes, 47 seconds. Is that right?
Yep.
Phineas?
Yep.
30:47. There we go. So right now, the scene that I'm looking at is outside the gym, right? The bad guy, the ugly man, is locked away in the gym. Not for long, I'm sure. And they go to hide, and Buffy and Billy are outside, and through a fence, like a cyclone fence, Billy stops to look at the baseball diamond. And Billy's just watching the other kids on the baseball diamond playing. And this is what happens. So Buffy's picking up that Billy is, I guess, feeling a loss while he's watching the kids play. And she has this very sympathetic expression, this very protective nature to her, which I feel like she has in real life too. And she goes to touch him and say, did he hurt you? And he flinches and pulls away. And immediately, like, as a mom, as like somebody that's experienced abuse, it's just this is like a really hard episode to watch. Buffy asks him and he pulls away and he's like, can we go now? Let's go a different way to find your friends. And she's like, okay, no problem. We can go down to the cafeteria. Cut to the beastie, ugly man that's 9 feet tall with a club and a scarred face comes right towards them. Bad idea. She ushers him through some bushes, some hedges, and next thing you know, the bushes take us to an alternate universe. Now it's nighttime and we're in the graveyard. What's going on? What just happened, she says. Are your friends here? No. One of the things that I didn't talk about yet, hold on, stop right there. One of the things that we did, roll back just a wee bit, Phineas. One of the things that happens in that scene, which I don't know why, maybe it's like earlier, maybe I got my timestamps messed up, but there was a part in the scene where he tells her that he, I guess the ugly man, told him that it was all his fault that he lost the game. And Buffy says, well, how could it possibly be all your fault? You're just one person. There are 8 other people on the team. Like, how can it all be on your shoulders? And that made him think, right? I write, the ugly man says it's his fault, but I'm wondering, is the ugly man his dad? You know, parents really can hurt their kids with their expectations. Can you scroll up a little bit for me, Phineas, the other way? Expectations and the tendency to live vicariously through their children. And I wanted to share this part with you. I saw this meme like a week ago, and I actually put it on my Instagram stories. If you want to follow me, you can at Charisma Carpenter on Instagram. It says, it was this meme that I saw, and it says, a child's first enemy is an unhealed parent. And I think that's really true. I don't know who his abuser is or who like the ugly man is yet, but when Buffy asks Billy, did he hurt you after the game, and goes to reach for him, which I covered before this, he recoils. And it's just like, this has child abuse all over it. And it's like, again, really hard to watch. So one of the story times that I wanted to go into with you about this is just that when my son played a lot of sports when he was really young, and he was a really talented soccer player. I mean, when he was out on that field, he looked like a Giselle, like just the way he kicked, his coordination, when like his leg would swing way back, like he had extension. He was a really fast runner. He was obsessed with Cristiano Ronaldo, so he'd watch all of his tricks. He just dribbled well. He was really something to behold. I loved watching him play, and I would tell him that as much as I could. And I think, though, there are those types of parents that are just like there to watch your kid, you know, wow, they're really in their element. And you're seeing them do what they love. And then there's the parent that's on the sidelines, and we've all seen them, that knows better than the coach. So they overshout on the coach, and they want to tell their kid what to think, right? Or what they should be doing. So now you have to think about it and put your kid's mind frame, like, okay, what do I do here? Like, now you have a kid on the field that's now having to navigate. Do I do what my coach says? Do I do what my dad or mom says? I got to make them happy. Can I trust myself to make the right decision on the field to hit the goal? Like, next thing you know, you have this neurotic thinking, like, what do I do? How do I, all within a nanosecond to make this decision. Do I do what they tell me to do, or do I do what I know to do? And these are like really critical moments for kids to be able to trust themselves. You know, there's guidance, and then there's being overbearing. Shouting down the coach, shouting down to your parent, to your kid, making them second guess themselves, their skills, what they're being taught from their coach. We've all seen it. We've all seen it, and it's just like, I remember it was really hard. It got to a point from, you know, personally in my personal situation where my son really stopped enjoying the sports, and he really didn't even want me there. And I don't know what that was about. If it was just that my son's never really liked the attention on himself. Like, even when he was doing a spelling bee and he'd have to go speak at the mic, he would just turn beet red. Like, he just didn't like it. He does not like that attention. And, you know, when he hit a soccer goal for the first time in his life, he loved it. But somehow along the way, over the course of time, I think like it just started to feel less fun. So I don't know. If there's like a PCA in any of this, a public service announcement in any of this that I'm kind of like pulling from the episode, it would just be like, as a parent, just root for your kid. Just say, way to go. Try to think about what's going on in their head. Try not to create a swirl in their minds, where they're like, they don't know that they can trust their own instincts and be present in the game and be able to work off of the other team members. Don't make them so crazy where they're wondering, oh my God, am I going to get in trouble if I don't listen to what my dad says? Am I going to get in trouble with the coach if I don't do what he says? And do you know what I mean? Try to just enjoy them and allow them to enjoy themselves. Enough said. At 31 minutes, outside, near the baseball diamond, Buffy and Billy run to get away from the ugly man through some hedges and find themselves now, I said this already, but I'm wondering, is this astral projection? Because now we know that really Billy is in a coma, right? So how is he doing this? So at 31 minutes, 27 seconds, we're smash cutting, we're behind the scenes at a stage. We're behind stage. Suddenly we're out of the graveyard, and now we're following Willow. She's behind the stage, and she's dressed in geisha attire. She's being escorted to the stage from backstage, where she's being introduced as the finest soprano in the world, much to her horror and mine, personally. At 32 minutes, 51 seconds, in one of the finest moments of comedy I've seen from Allison. Hold on, Chris is digging. Chrissy, stop. In one of the most finest moments of comedy I've seen from Allison to this point, which obviously we all know that she's an acclaimed, funny actress, funny girl. She's been in all sorts of comedies. But this was one of my favorite moments of Allison's performance, where Willow goes to open her mouth to sing on stage next to her opera singer who sings opera, and her voice is I can't even do it how she did. She screeches. It's so funny. She can't sing. She has no voice. I thought that was a really great moment, because not only is she doing physical comedy with it, but it's all over her face. What is happening? I can't sing. Why am I here? But also, when I open my mouth, nothing's coming out. It was like horror. All of it was happening at once, and it was all over her face, and it was a really good job. So at 33 minutes, 3 seconds, we're in the school hallway, back to Xander being led deeper and deeper into the hallway by a trail of candy bars, where he discovers the chocolate bar labeled Hurricane. Xander says he doesn't remember having one of those since he was 6 years old. Then he hears the giggles of a clown who peeks out from behind the hanging cellophane with a knife. Xander screams in horror. Also, clowns are scary. 33 minutes, 33 seconds, we're back. We're smash cutting back to the graveyard. Buffy and Billy are it's nighttime in the graveyard, and then enters the Master. This is the first time we've seen him out of his lair, above ground, inside the graveyard, lurking around gravestones. And Buffy says, this is impossible. You can't be free. The Master says, I am free because you fear it. And because you fear it, the world is crumbling. Dun, dun, dun. At 34 minutes, 23 seconds, the Master starts to explain, your nightmares are made flesh, thanks to Billy. The Master goes for Buffy's neck while saying, a dream is a wish your heart makes. This is real life. The Master then shoves Buffy backward into an open grave. The coffin door closes down upon her. She is being buried alive by the Master. Horrifying. Story time. It's really quick. I do remember, and I didn't look this up, I should have Googled it. I do remember Sarah telling me, or seeing her in an interview, something that she said she genuinely had a fear of being underground, in a coffin. It was one of her biggest fears. And it would seem that Buffy and Sarah were battling genuine fear in this scene. At 35 minutes, 5 seconds, backstage from the opera, Willow runs off stage while vegetables are being thrown at her. Xander comes running up to her. Enter the clown again. Xander and Willow start running away. They're screaming. They bump into Giles, who also gives them a scream, but like a Giles scream, like, like it's not as dramatic, which is really kind of funny because he's just like, how do you, I wonder how much thought he had to put into that as the character, like stuffy, tweed-wearing scream. I wonder if it would have been even more funny if he like screamed, but it was like came out high pitched or something. Where did I go? So they all run away. It was really funny, but then the clown's maniacal laugh is following them, and that's scary, but also kind of perfect. At 35 minutes, 53 seconds, we're in the school hallway. Xander, Willow, and Giles. The clown is in hot pursuit. And as the clown pursues, the gang maniacally laughing, suddenly Xander turns to the clown and he confronts his fear, despite the clown raising his knife up to slice and dice Xander. Despite this, Xander pulls his fist back and clocks him right in the nose and knocks him out. And he says, "You were a lousy clown. Your balloon animals were pathetic. Everyone can make a giraffe." Xander feels super good and liberated from his fear, having confronted it. And if that ain't a metaphor for life, I don't know what is. 36 minutes, 03 seconds out front of the school, Giles, Willow, and Xander. What's weird is I guess there's like construction wrappings everywhere, and I think this is just meant to show that we're like still in the Bizarro world. I don't remember the school ever being under construction, but maybe I missed something at the beginning of the episode, but I still think like this is just a dream sequence. This is distinguishing the difference between the school as it should be and we are in a nightmare. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what was going on, but I think I figured it out since writing this. I'm going to go with we're in a dream and a nightmare because none of it makes sense. That's how dreams and nightmares are. Anyway, Xander and Willow and Giles have just dealt with a clown, but the rest of the city seems to be crumbling. Pandemonium ensues as they try to find Buffy. At 36 minutes, 20 seconds, Xander, Willow, Giles out front of the school with extra bright light. Extra bright light. Like really blown out fluorescent, like super, they must have had these big condors just blaring at them. This indicates that we are not in a normal day state. Total pandemonium, people are screaming, helicopters are hovering. Xander notices a portal to the cemetery across the street, which isn't normally there, and it's also nighttime over there, which is interesting. Very good special effects. And now I'm going to watch another scene with you at 36 minutes, 35 seconds through 38 minutes, 57 seconds. Bear with me as I cue this up. 36, 35. We're almost done. All right, so we're in the graveyard. We see the headstone. The headstone says, Buffy Summers, 1981 to 1997. Rest in peace. And Giles walks over to the headstone, kneels down, and says, "I failed in my duty to protect you. I should have been more cautious, taken more time to train." Let's be honest. She didn't need more training. She whipped his ass on the regular. She was good. She was ready. He's making it about himself. It's okay. It's okay. I don't mean to be like that, but she was so gifted. Why didn't you tell her that in real life? Yes, the evil was so great. He goes to touch the ground of the cemetery, and oh my goodness, a hand comes pushing through all the soil from the grave. Willow and Xander freak out. Nobody screams better than Allison Hannigan. And lo and behold, Buffy Summers rises from the grave. She's looking down, brushing herself off. Then, Buffy! Oh, she's in vamp face. She's so pretty in vamp face. "I thought I was dead," she says. "Buffy, your face." Total horror. Willow is in total horror. "Buffy, your face." Great delivery. She touches her face. Oh my God, she's realizing. Great nail polish color, by the way. It's sky blue. Pretty nails. Lots of rings. She's breaking down. "Don't look at me." She's freaking out. She's a vampire. And Giles walks over to Buffy and says, "You never told me you dreamt of becoming a vampire." Seems like it's something she would say to him, I guess. Yeah. This isn't a dream, she says. No, it's not, he says. But we can make it go away. This comes from Billy. If we could only wake him up, I believe the nightmares will stop. We've got to go now. I need you to hold it together long enough to help us, he says. Can you do that? This is so great. She looks at him serious. He looks at her. Yeah, she says. I think I can hold on, right? He says, thank you. And she turns to her friends and says, well, we better hurry because I'm getting hungry. Great delivery. So funny, so tragic, so hard. We're crying, we're scared, and then we're laughing. All within 2 minutes. Is this show great or what? Jump to 3902, The Hospital from the Graveyard. Total pandemonium. It's chaos. It's an apocalypse. Giles and the Scoobies running through the hallway. Everybody's losing their mind. Doctor, but my hands. So the surgeon, his hands, that makes sense. That's his nightmare. They run into Billy's room. What now? He's still in a coma, Xander says. Billy! Like, just shouting that'll wake him up. That won't work, his astral body says. Billy, Giles says. Billy, you have to wake up. Okay, so now we see Vamp Buffy. So this is a really important story. I don't know the literary term for this, but like it was really important that she became a vampire. I don't know how she became a vampire. It's her nightmare, I guess, that's how. So now that she's in vamp face and the ugly man is making his way down the hallway in the hospital, she has a chance, right? That's what I'm thinking here. So she sees the ugly man who's making his way to Billy's room. She seems scared herself a little bit. This guy is brutal. He's scary looking. But Buffy knows what she should do. She goes to attack him. And then also, this is really, just a side note, a random thing. Like, Willow looks outside the window and there's flying, I guess they don't look like bees. They just look like flying ants. Like somebody had that nightmare. Like everybody, the whole town, every single nightmare imaginable is happening. Could you imagine? It's kind of how I feel today in society. All these buzzing. Better be soon. So now they're squaring off in the hallway. Glad you showed up, Buffy says. She's having a bad day, she says. Lucky 19, as he like lumbers through. There are a lot scarier things than you. He's pretty scary though. Ooh, and I'm one of them. Those are one of those hard lines to say. Like those like, I'll be back moments. Those are hard lines to deliver believably. Especially with prosthetic teeth. Rawr! They're fighting. Ooh, get him. Get him. Kicks her off. She turns vamp again. Rawr, growling, punching, kicking. Throws her against the wall. He takes the club to the wall. Throws him into Billy's bed in the hospital room. He goes to club her. She snaps his arm off and clobbers him against the wall, knocks him out, I guess. I don't see how that could do it, but for the story, he's knocked out. This is the important part. She stands over him. Everybody's looking on, terrified. Is he dead? Billy asks. Buffy in vamp face turns to Billy and says, come here, Billy. You have to do the rest, she says. You have to conquer your fears. No one can do it for him. What are they doing? Willow asks. Xander gets it. No more hiding. No more hiding, people. He goes to lift the mask. Blinding white light. They're back to normal again. Buffy's no longer in vamp face. Willow's not a geisha. Billy's still in bed, though. He had this strange dream. We're at 41:56 now. You had a strange dream, and you were all in it. So then at 42:30, we're in the hospital room. The three Scoobies and Giles and Billy's still in bed. Billy's still in bed. Enter Billy's coach, the coach who visits every day hoping he gets better, his lucky 19. Buffy and Giles share a look between each other, and they realize he's the one who blamed Billy for losing the game and put him in a coma. Xander and Giles grab the coach by his collar. Billy now has the strength to stand up to the coach and say, I'm not the one who lost the game. There's 8 other players. Buffy and Billy share a look, and she says, nice going. It's hard to stand up to your bullies. I bet it's even harder to stand up to your bully when you don't want to accept that they are a bully, when there's somebody you're supposed to trust, or when they're close to you. This is a very poignant show. 43 minutes, 12 seconds. School grounds, the three Scoobies. Buffy says she can't believe that Kitty League coach could be capable of such a thing. And Xander says, you've obviously never played Little League. I mean, as I was saying before. And surprised it's not one of the parents. Ew. Buffy praises Xander for grabbing the coach in a heroic way. Xander plays it off like, just did what anybody else would do. But if you want to think it's heroic. Xander's had a couple of good episodes doing the right thing. I mean, it was a little creepy with like Angora sweater, but like it's kind of harmless. But still, he's had a pretty good run here for a little bit. Enter Buffy's dad. And Buffy walks off. So this is kind of terrifying because we know it was a dream, but does the dad remember? Does the dad know, like, what's going to happen? She remembers, most importantly. So now at 43 minutes, 28 seconds, we're in the front of the school. The Scoobies plus Buffy's dad, Hank Summers, enters. He hopped out of the car, excited to see his daughter. They embrace. Her dad says he's happy to see her and asks her how her week was. And she plays it off to just be another normal week for a teenage girl. And this conversation highlights a stark difference between the one they had before. Now he's a loving, doting father. At 43 minutes, 51 seconds, we're in front of the school. Willow and Xander talk. Willow asks Xander if he was still attracted to Buffy when she was in Vamp Face. Xander plays it off, no, not really. I mean, how could I? How grotesque? Willow goes, because she sees right through him. Still dug her, huh? Xander goes, I'm sick, I need help. Willow says, don't I know it? And then my last note on this is the circle of pining. Willow wants Xander, Xander wants Buffy, and Buffy wants Angel, but nobody has anybody. And that is the end of this episode's Bitch of the Year Hot Takes. Thanks for hanging with me. So you're all invited to subscribe to my Patreon page at patreon.com/Charisma Carpenter, where behind the paywall you can experience full episodes, exclusive bonus bitch content dropped weekly, community chat rooms, I'm in there every day, and first dibs on our much anticipated merch collection coming soon, and as well as discount codes for firm members who are considered my most dedicated fans and followers. As a member of the firm, basically you get unprecedented access to all things me. Thank you for being here.
Tell everyone you've ever met right now, 'cause the bitch is back.